Hi, we're Maps and Atlases, and you're watching Entertainment Focus.
Now, you released a number of EPs before recording this debut album, and it's taken you 4 years, is that right, to record it? Get to this debut album stage?
Well, no, I mean, you mean including the years that we had the EPs out? Or
Yeah.
like,
It's like 6.5 or something.
yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. We were in a band for a while before, like, we kind of spent the first couple of years of the band at least just, being in school and kind of, we played together all the time and, we play shows occasionally during that time, but the first couple of years we really just spent, kind of practicing and, jamming and stuff. So, yeah, so I guess it's been, I don't know, 6.5 years or so.
Yeah, like almost 7 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's kind of really accomplished effort now because you've spent so much time writing together as doing all those EPs as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know that we necessarily looked at it. I mean, we definitely felt like we wanted to release a substantial, piece of music. But I think that, it was, I think that, we were glad that we just were releasing EPs and we did because those seemed to be sort of the appropriate length for the energy of those records. Like they seem to have a specific energy that couldn't necessarily be they couldn't necessarily be stretched out and be as effective. So I think that each of those is still I really like listening to them and really proud of them. And I think that they're good the way that they are. And I don't know, we won't put that much pressure on ourselves, I guess, to finish the album.
Well, yeah, I guess like we had always had like, I mean, I guess not really for our first real EP that we pressed ourselves, which was Trees Falls Houses. Like we kind of wanted to just do an EP then. We could have easily made it a full length at the time, but I guess like around you and me and Mom, like we were kind of planning on doing a full length, but first of all, it just worked better as an EP rather than adding more songs, and also like we just were kind of, there was a time crunch all of a sudden, like rather than like worry about making this thing which is so good on its own as an EP, let's and make a full length, let's just have this as the EP. So this now seemed to be the time, I guess.
The right time for you guys to branch out.
Yeah.
So was it true that it's actually recorded in Dave's parents' basement?
Part of it was. We start the beginning of the recording. We did at pretty much just the drums and stuff. We did at Electrical Audio, just over just a couple day period, and the rest was sort of either in our practice space or over at my parents' house in the basement. And but yeah, really, pretty much everything that we have. I mean, with the exception of like doing drums for our first EP at Engine Studio in Chicago. I don't know how many days, it was like only like a day or two.
I think we had 2 days.
So, other than that and those couple days of Electrical, pretty much everything that we've done has either
been at our studio or at Dave's parents' basement.
Yeah. So,
De facto studio.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think that it definitely, I don't know, for me, I think for certain people it'll probably be really positive to have just a studio. I mean, it definitely sounds really good to be in like a really nice sounding room and all that, but I think that there's also like a certain kind of energy if you're in like a sort of natural space that you feel comfortable in and you feel like sorry, this bug is attracted to my
flies on there.
But yeah, if you're in a space that you just feel comfortable in and there's like a specific kind of just energy to a place, then it can be more productive, I think.
Gets the creative juices going.
Yeah, definitely.
So now there's the album has a lot of layers in some of the songs, and it's very, I guess, theatrical in some ways. Can you tell us more about that sound and I guess what bands influenced you guys?
I guess we've really been influenced by like so many different bands at the time. Like we always talk about it, but when we first formed, we were at such a sort of formative time for our musical taste. That it feels like we've really, I mean, it sounds kind of like cheesy, but been on like a sort of weird musical journey together. Like, and I mean, it really feels that way just because when you're in high school or whatever, it's like you have such a limited like knowledge of like new bands and things that are coming out, and like to go to college and to like be finding out about all this stuff, and then to be in a band and like all sort of be finding out about it together it was really interesting, and I think interesting for the evolution of our like band and our tastes, and, and all that stuff. So I guess it's all over the board really as far as our influences are concerned, but we all definitely really like classic rock and like pop stuff, especially like older stuff, and and when we first met, we were all really interested in sort of technical music and like discovering like free jazz and stuff like that. So I guess that's kind of where our initial bonding came together. I guess like sort of mixing those items.
You also have a common interest in that sort of music.
Yeah.
I guess also coming from the Chicago scene, the music scene there must be quite supportive, and you've also had a lot of bands out there who kind of do the same kind of things. Do you find that that's helped you along as well in terms of getting recognised?
It's really hard to say. Like, I mean, I definitely think it's helpful as far as people being supportive, for sure. Mm-hmm. It's like the music scene there is really, I mean, there's a lot of like really cool people who, who are supportive of one another, and like we got lots of shows and played lots of house shows before, before we were playing like any like bigger venues, and kind of just playing, like, oh, jumping on this show or that show with like some friend's band, and most of the time the shows that we'd be playing were with bands that don't really sound anything like us, and I think that's kind of how the Chicago scene sort of is. It's just a lot of different bands that are friends with one another and are supportive. But like, I mean, our first like, not our first real show because we played a couple shows before this was cool, but I remember like one of our first bigger shows that we were really excited about was with a band called Russian Circles that's also from Chicago, who we're friends with, and then another band that doesn't exist anymore, but called Karma with a K, that's also really different than us, but we're just our good friends, and it was a really strange bill, but we it was a really good time, and like it was and those.
There's a couple other bands too that were totally different on that, and that was like that's just so like indicative of the Chicago scene. Like, shows are just I mean, maybe not so much anymore, or like in specific venues, I guess, but every show that I grew up seeing was like I'd go see like a punk rock show or something, and it'd be like
at the
ska
Metro
band. I've been to Metro shows. Yeah, the first rock and roll show I saw was at the Metro when I was 11 years old. Swerve Driver. It was really crazy. My glasses broke. But I'd go see shows at like the local punk rock venue, like the Fireside Bowl, and I would see like a ska band and like like a technical rock band and like a punk band and a hardcore band, and then some like emo band or something, they'll all play on the same night, and it'd be crowded. That's just kind of how Chicago was, and it kind of is, like especially for house shows and stuff,
Yeah, it's got a very, very, very kind of
It's really
range.
eclectic.
Yeah.
But there were like, I'm sure like any place, there are so, even when you think about, the sort of, like the really big acts, like Wilco and, like Andrew Bird and stuff, I don't necessarily know, I mean, I know that they're surrounded by a lot of really fantastic musicians, but it's kind of like hard to think about, like if they really fit into any specific scene or anything, but we definitely are big, huge fans of those acts too from Chicago. So.
Would you ever consider doing collaboration work with them, or?
Definitely.
The consideration period wouldn't be very long.
You never know.